Are you a mom struggling to find joy in motherhood? I have 5 kids, number 6 is on the way. I get it. And if I'm not intentional in our lives, my joy can be gone just like that. Today in this video, I offer you simple solutions to this problem. And stay tuned to the end of this video where I will share my thoughts on mom guilt. Motherhood is such an important thing, right? I mean, we're raising these young people. I stay home with my children during the day. Maybe you work outside of the home. We're all in different places. That's completely okay. We're all mothers, but it is a very important thing. And I mean, most of us, we understand the magnitude of, we're shaping and molding these young people. My personal opinion is that when it comes to joy and happiness in marriage, that's not the goal of parenting. That's not the goal of me being a mother. I mean, it certainly helps when I can find joy along the way, but my focus all of a sudden isn't on myself, and it's on these young people who I am rearing and raising, right? But like I said, it does really make a huge difference when we do find joy along the way. And you know what? We can have joy along the way. I used to be that parent who, like I said, I have 5 kids, number 6 is on the way. And I can even now get super overwhelmed. But, then I take a step back and I ground myself in what's really important. But I remember, when I was younger, I would get so frazzled and so worked up. With every child, I've gotten better. My son, my oldest boy, who's now 10, he got the brunt of it. I mean, I was, you're learning when you're a new mom, and then you get a little better as you go. But I've learned to find joy in parenting, in motherhood. Does that mean that it's easy? Absolutely not. But we can have joy along the way. We don't have to be crabby all the time. We can actually set things up in our homes with structures and systems that make our lives easier, where everybody is happy and content, not just us. Now, again, this doesn't mean that motherhood parenting is easy, but it can be super fulfilling. And I've seen the progression of my own life where I used to be super frazzled, and when I got more of these structures and these systems in place, I actually began to enjoy it more. What is the problem? I believe that there's a couple different problems. As mothers, we can be juggling so many different things, and that can rob us of our joy. Yes, some of us work outside the home, some of us stay at home, but if we got too many balls going in the air, we're only human. We can't do it all. And so I believe that this is a problem. I mean, sometimes it doesn't seem like one that we can solve, one that we have any control in, but actually I do believe that no matter where we are, we can look and be like, okay, what can I do to tweak it and take a little bit off, a little bit of pressure, even if it's just a mindset. The second problem I believe there is I hope I'm not going to step on anybody's toes, but I'm sure I will, is that we, as mothers, sometimes we lack accountability. Sometimes we're the problem. Sometimes, it's the way we handle situations. It's the way we discipline, the lack of discipline, the lack of follow through, the lack of having order. That is a very big problem in and of itself, because if we can't acknowledge our part in the matter, how can we ever fix it? Behavior issues and fighting with their siblings and stuff, that's kids. As we can look at our kids and be like, well, if you're just more behaved and you just did this. My kids, they range from 10 to 2. Like I said, pregnant with number 6. But, kids will be kids. Accountability comes in where it's like, okay, where am I as a mother failing in this area? What do I need to give my children that I am not giving them? Like, how can we fix this? I'm the adult, they're the children. And I know that can be such a hard pill for us to swallow, because we really do mean well and we're really trying our best. Okay, what's the problem here? I'm the adult. I need to take control of the situation. I'm not saying you're the problem. I'm just saying that sometimes our lack of involvement in a certain area may be the problem. And if we spend some more time in that area, we could perhaps fix the problem. This is another problem that I see. So perhaps this is number 3. I know I said number 2, but we have unrealistic expectations. You know, some of us, our personalities, we're more of a perfectionist. We're more, OCD, type A. I'm kind of like this. I mean, I'm a healthy mix of a type A and just fly off the seat of my pants. But, I mean, maybe all of us are kind of a mix in some of these ways, but we can have unrealistic expectations of what parenting is, what it looks like. We maybe went into it with unrealistic expectations, and then we found out it's going to be hard and it's going to require a lot of work. It's a lot of sacrifice. But like I said, there is a way to experience joy along the way. Now, I'm not saying that there's not more to what I'm going to give you today. There certainly is. I mean, this is just what I have done, and maybe I have done more, but this is what I can think of. Leave me a comment below if there's something that you think I'm missing, if there's something that you are doing that is reaping you joy. Share it with the rest of us. We would just love that. One size does not fit all. You know, some of these might work for you just great. Some of them you might toss out. That's perfectly fine. We're not all the same. We're not cookie cutter mothers, are we? We're all different, and that is completely okay. Number 1, and I've already alluded to this already, but have realistic expectations of yourself and of your children. For example, if you work outside the home, your home might not look like mine looks, but I'm home every day to tend to it. Do you understand what I mean? Like if you work outside the home, you don't have the amount of time that a stay-at-home mom has. You have these other things that you are committed to. So, you know, you can't compare yourself to a stay-at-home mother. Yes, I'm a stay-at-home mom, but I have 5 children ranging from 2 years old to 10. So my house is not going to look like the house of someone who has 1 child or 2 children. You know, my house is going to be a little more chaotic, and that's okay. That is completely okay. We're all in different areas. The expectations, you know, they need to be realistic. For me, I stay home, and I'm pretty strict with chores and our normal routine and stuff. But the thing is I can't treat my 2-year-old like I treat my 4-year-old. I can't treat my 4-year-old how I treat my 7, 9, and 10-year-old. You know, like they're only capable of so much. So mama, give yourself grace. Give your children grace. I don't know where you are in your life. Comment below. I would love to connect with you. But give yourself a breather here. Like sit down with a piece of paper and a pen. My mom always used to say that. If you need to, and just be like, okay, where am I in life right now? What is realistic? Because the thing is we can set these expectations that are just not realistic, and then our mind just gets overwhelmed. I mean, I get that. And I had those unrealistic expectations. You know, when I first had my son, I thought, well, you know, it's just 1 and I'll be able to do this, you know, and then it turned out like, yeah, even though it's only 1, I'm only 1 person, and I am so tired and overwhelmed, and everything seems like it's falling down, you know, and obviously we mature as we, you know, get older and have more children and things like that. But give yourself grace for where you are in life. Like, who are you? Write it down. What are your responsibilities in life? Make it realistic for you and for your children. And to be honest, you're not being fair to yourself if you're not being realistic in this area. Number 2, don't try to be something that you're not. This is very closely related with number 1, but we can look and we can compare our lives to others, right? Maybe we're in church and we see, you know, the family all dressed up and all the kids are looking well behaved. Well, guess what? That's probably not normal, you know, for them. I mean, when they're at home and they're in the thick of it, but it's like, we can do that, right? We can compare our situation to other people's situation and be like, well, why doesn't my life look like that? Well, first of all, we're all in different places, right? I can't compare my beginning to someone else's middle or end. We're all in different places of maturity and understanding, and as well as how many children you have. Maybe another family has 2 children, 3 children. I can't compare myself to them because my life is way more chaotic than that. Number 3, learn to have a healthy balance of selfishness as a mother. I know that this is a very hot topic. Yes, selfishness can be good, a lot of people say. And then other people say, parenting is so selfless. Yes, that is true. I think it can all be true at one time. I learned this one from my husband. He used to get up. Well, he still does it. He gets up and he gets in the shower right away. And I used to think that was so selfish of him. I used to kind of look down on him a little bit. And he's like, honey, if I am not taken care of, how can I take care of anyone else? You hear of, when you go flying or whatever, before you help someone else with their mask, their oxygen mask, you take care of yourself first. There is a balance, because obviously a newborn crying is different, that we need to attend to that. Some things are more prompt, but if we're just giving our children everything they want and constantly putting ourselves off, we won't be any good to anybody. We need to take a shower. We need to eat. We need to take a break. We need to do things that we enjoy. Relax, at the end of the day, and just deprogram, sometimes check out, go for a walk or something like that. Yes, parenting is so amazing, and it is such a blessing and an honor to be able to do this, but we won't be good to anybody if we don't recharge too. And recharging will look different for everybody. For me, I don't go running or anything like that, but sometimes I'll go and sit outside at least once a day without my phone and just completely just unplug, and just watch my children play. And we all have different ways in how we recharge. And this is the thing too, we can see systems working for me, perhaps another mother, and be like, okay, well, I'm going to do that for me. But it might not work for me. I tend to be a little more strict in our house because we have so many children. And so we run a tighter ship. I'm not saying that we don't have fun and we don't enjoy life, but I'm just saying that systems that work for other people might not work for you. And that is completely okay. We are not cookie cutters of each other. We can't just say, oh, I'm going to do this and that, and it all work. We're all different. And that is 100% okay. That is actually very beautiful. Number 4, have a loose routine and stick to it as close as possible. Now, routines are good, but the reason I say a loose routine is because, as all of us mothers know, you can plan something, but plan to change it. And that is okay. Sometimes we just have to go with the flow. But if we have a basic routine of this is what we do, kids thrive with structure and systems and stuff and knowing what to expect. And it's good for us adults too. And so have a routine and stick to it loosely. This actually does really contribute to your joy as a mother because you know what to expect. And yes, random things can happen and spoil our day, right? That kind of stuff happens all the time. But us mothers are really good with just going with it. But the more systems we have in place, the more I found that I had joy as a mother because, I feel organized. And yeah, I'm not saying that our routine happens 100% every single day like it did on the best day that we ever had, but that's okay. But still, this helps immensely. Number 5, have your children help out with household chores. This revolutionized my joy as a mother because when I came to terms with the reality that I'm one person, I cannot do everything. And this may actually, like, you have to lower your standards maybe a little bit. Like, your children may not do everything up to your standard, but at least it's getting done. And then we can teach them further the older they get that I want you to do this. I want you to tweak some things so that this is done in even a better way, that is more up to our standards. But this is the thing: you live here, you're a part of this family, you can help. Mom needs you too. Like, I'm one person, I can't do it all. And especially if you work outside the home, I mean, you're amazing for being able to do that. I stay home and I feel like I can barely do it, even with my children's help sometimes, but even more so, expect some things from your children. I mean, they're not completely helpless. Even my little Sarah, she's responsible for some things. And then just the other day, I saw her putting garbage bags into the empty garbage can. I was like, wow, like, I didn't even know you could do that. She had been watching Noah, her 4-year-old brother, and so then she just kind of picked up and was helping along with that. But it's like, I think a lot of times we expect so little of our children when really they're capable of so much. And you know what? They want to help, to be a part of the group. If you have children who are not used to helping out around the house, and if they're older, perhaps this would be a little more of a struggle to get into the routine, but it is so worth it, because you are one person. You cannot do it all. We love these children, but the world doesn't revolve around them. The world doesn't revolve around us either. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying we're a team. Let's do this together. And this can really help with your joy as a mother, because you are so drained as a mother. I know it. I'm drained. We're all drained to different degrees, but we need each other. We are meant to need each other. And who more do we need than the people in our family? The sixth thing that really contributes to my joy as a mother is having rules for my children and then enforcing them. Having acceptable behavior and unacceptable behavior. Like, I'm going to draw that line and I will not let you mock me. And I know this is a very controversial topic, discipline, but discipline is just rearing a child in the way he should go. It's a plant is growing and you're growing the wrong way, so I'm going to stake you down so you start growing straight. That's what discipline is. Some of the unacceptable behaviors in our house could be a snotty attitude. If I'm asking you something, or if I'm simply talking to you and you respond to me in a snarky way, Mom's going to call you out on it. Dad's going to call you out on it. There needs to be order in the home. And when there's order in the home, joy can just abound. I'm not saying that parenting is easy. I'm not saying that it's easy to enforce this acceptable and unacceptable behavior, but kind of like a garden. When you plant a garden, you plant seeds and then you reap the harvest. We will reap what we plant. Our children are the garden, we are the farmer, and we are going to get a harvest, out of what we planted. This can contribute immensely to your joy as a mother, because you're not constantly picking those stupid fights with your children over nonsense. You know what I mean? If we do this for a while, expect things of our children, then in time they will begin to do those things on their own. And that can bring us so much joy. For example, one of the things that I have set up in our home is whoever gets up first with Sarah, the 2-year-old. I have 2 older daughters. I have Hannah, she's almost 8, and then Lizzie, she's 9. Whichever older sister wakes up with her is responsible for changing her diaper so that Mom can sleep in and get some rest. And that is something that I have enforced. It is not so far out there for me to expect that you do that. My son, for example, when he gets up in the morning, he's expected to take a shower and to empty the dehumidifiers in the basement. These are not big things, when you get out in the real world and you get a job, your boss is going to tell you things and you need to listen. This is, equipping our children for when they get older. But to be honest, when our homes begin to run smoothly, joy will abound, and you will have so much joy as a mother. I promise you. I've been doing this for a while now, and it just keeps coming back to me. I can rest. And yes, my kids are getting older. I do have some who are younger yet. A newborn here who is coming here in October, but it does get easier. But the thing is we can have older children, and if they don't adhere to acceptable and unacceptable behavior, then we're not going to have joy even if they're older. Number 7, this is perhaps the most important one that will bring you joy as a mother. Get enough sleep at night. Now, I know that we're all in different places. This is a no-brainer. Some of us work outside the home. Some of us stay at home like I do. I'm a stay-at-home mom. But if I'm up all night, I wouldn't have a good day either, and I wouldn't get things done around the house either. So, and I wouldn't feel good. My leash is a little bit shorter. I tend to snap a lot more when I'm tired. I've found that 9 o'clock is like the sweet spot for me. It gives me enough time to fall asleep, and then I stay asleep. By the way, if you don't sleep good at night, check out my video for sleeping. I will try to link the card above. Otherwise, it will be at the end of this video. Number 8, and this is very closely related with number 2, how we shouldn't compare ourselves to others. Minimize your screen time, your social media, because then it gives us a greater opportunity to compare ourselves to others. And to make matters worse, everything that we see on social media tends to be filtered, and it's just not real life. That's not reality for a lot of people. We put our best foot forward on social media oftentimes, and it can really hurt us. It can really rob us of our joy, because we see everybody else out here looking to be so happy, and then I'm over here fighting with my children. Well, you know what? They're fighting with their children too. I mean, you just don't see it. They're just not showing you that. Don't compare yourself to others. You are who you are. Your life is different than mine, is different than theirs. That is 100% okay. This is the thing. We can do that. We can turn on our Instagram at the end of the night, just scroll through it mindlessly, but when I quit doing that, I just felt better and better about myself. Even the way I look, I began to feel better about the way I look. The way I feel about myself is better when I'm not constantly scrolling through, seeing all of these other people and their lives. And I'm not saying their lives aren't worth something. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that as humans, we tend to compare ourselves, and that is not a healthy thing. We shouldn't be comparing ourselves to someone else, because we are completely different. Number 9, another no-brainer, but it really contributes to how you feel as a mother and the joy that you experience, is eating healthy, and not just eating healthy, but also look into gut health and just the mind-gut relationship. And the video that I did on how to improve your sleep, there's a yogurt there that is rooted in good bacteria and things like that. But in our home, I make kefir pop, and I make kefir and other fermented foods. I'm not saying that that's the only form of healthy eating, but the food we put in our bodies really does matter. We can't always control our children and our situation and all of this, but we can control our food. And I'm not saying you need to go out and buy all organic food. We don't, but we do have a garden. Maybe you're not able to have a garden. Maybe you can go to the farmer's market. We can always make better choices when it comes to the foods that we eat, because they really do make a difference in the joy that we have. Number 10, if you have a spouse, this applies to you. Connect with your spouse on a routine basis. My husband and I, we connect every day on the phone. He, like tonight, for example, he's gone on an overnight. Sometimes he's gone 2 nights. Most of the time, it's just 1 night a week. And we do a lot of talking on the telephone, and we'll spend time in the evening, if we can, if he doesn't have to go to bed super early. But get that connection, time. If you're not married, Connect with your friends, with your mom, with your sister. Yes, we're with these children and we love our children and all this. And I'm not saying that they're not humans, that we can't get a relationship fix out of that. But I know that if you're a mom watching this, that you understand that a toddler is not the same as connecting with an adult. And you know, in a spouse, I put in a very special place. You know, we should be making time for the person that we married, the person that we love, because that in turn is going to go into our children. But it goes into our well-being as a person as well, connecting with people. Number 11, do something that you enjoy. And try to do it at least once a week. For me, I try to set aside time on Mondays to do some writing. You know, I really enjoy writing, and I've published some books and things like that. Do something that you enjoy. Maybe you're into drawing, maybe you're into gardening, maybe you're into, I don't know what you're into. Make time for that, because you are important too, and that will go into your joy. You know, that's like self-care, doing something that you enjoy. And number 12, this is another bonus. Commit to something that is along the lines of self-development. You know, we are meant to be growing. You know, just because we are older now and we're adults and, you know, we're parents, doesn't mean that we need to stop growing in whatever area. So whatever area it is, I mean, if it's got something to do with your hobby, if it's your faith, if it's trying to start a YouTube channel like I have done, here on this channel, commit to learning something, because it is so good for your mind, and it is another one of those self-care things that we do. Maybe you don't have much time to devote to self-development. Maybe it can be half an hour one time a week. Totally fine. It can give you a boost of serotonin, of, you know, I'm a part of something, a part of a community, maybe, you know, like a gardening community, like I'm learning this. Like, we were made to be in connection with others and to be constantly learning and growing. Now on to my very unpopular opinion about mom guilt. I actually believe that mom guilt at times, I'm not saying all the time, can actually be an indication of us knowing in our heart that something needs to change and that we need to be accountable to make that change. I know that sounds really harsh, but if we aren't accountable, how are we going to grow and move? And a lot of times we feel guilt because we know that we could have behaved better in a certain situation. I remember right after my first daughter was born, you know, culture shock when you have 2 children, but I was struggling with some postpartum depression, and I remember locking myself in the bathroom, and I was sitting on the floor just crying with my head up against the door, and my little 1-year-old Elijah, at the time, my newborn was out in her crib or whatever she was doing in her bouncer or whatever, and I have Elijah on the outside saying, "Mom, I'm sorry, Mom, I'm sorry." And in that moment, I had such, yes, mom guilt. But what that mom guilt showed me is that, hey, I need to reach out for some help, you know. And then I did. I reached out to, you know, I'm not exactly sure what I did. I think I may have seen like a psychologist or a counselor or something like that, along those lines. Oftentimes, when we feel that guilt, we can internalize it and just be like, you know, I'm trying my best, and you know, we want validation. But a lot of times that guilt, in my opinion, is, you know, call it God, call it whatever, trying to move us into a better place. You know, like, okay, this isn't working. What do I need to do? If we're feeling guilty that we're not spending enough time with our children, well, then maybe we need to put down our phone on a Friday night and go play with our children. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that there's not other scenarios of this. I don't know your life. You may have, we're all so different. And so one size does not fit all. Don't take anything I say to the bank if it doesn't fit your life. If you got 1 or 2 things out of this video, like and subscribe, comment below so we can connect. And until next time, bye for now.